Regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission. I'm just going to go on to any final action taken on the conditional use permit applications tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, April 3rd at 5 p.m. In the event of the appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, April 18th at or after 9 a.m. Meetings of the County Commission are also held in this same room. At this time, the Planning Commission will consider the consent agenda. The minutes from the February 27th meeting are included in the consent agenda. Are there any objections from the Planning Commission members to any item listed on the consent agenda? Next, I will read each item on the consent agenda. If any member of the audience objects to the item, please raise your hand, and the item will be moved to the regular agenda, and then you will be allowed to address the commission later in the meeting. Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes of February 27th. Item number 2 is a conditional use permit 17-09 to exceed 1,200 square feet of total accessory building area, requesting 2,000 square feet. On the property located at 46715 Buckeye Street. That's approximately 2 miles west of Sioux Falls. Petitioner is John McCarthy. Item number 3, conditional use permit 17-13 to allow a Class C finisher swine CAFO. This is located at 46060 248th Street, approximately 3 miles west of Colton. The petitioner is Matthew Vogel. Item number 4, conditional use permit 17-14 to exceed the 1,200 square feet of total accessory building. They're requesting 3,376 square feet. That is located at 47560 Washington Street, approximately 5.5 miles north of Sioux Falls. Petitioner is Matt Hansen. Since there's no objections from the audience to any of these items, and no questions from the commissioners,
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
a motion is made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That's it.
So that means that any of you in the audience, you're free to go.
Is Mr. Vogel here? Are you?
I'm right here.
I just wanna.
I have a couple of items I want to go over with you.
I know it.
First of all, under, well, I guess we'll call this old business. I wanted to let you know that the water tower at Brandon was appealed. The Acres has filed suit against the county's decision to approve the water tower, and it has been forwarded on to the state's attorney. They'll assign whatever attorney to represent us in the upcoming legal battle or legal discussion. So that's one item. Then the other item that I would like to discuss is, I have a memo for you, and I'll send this off to the other 3 members that aren't here.
Thank you.
I've been approached by two county commissioners that have had some concerns about our wind energy conversion system ordinance, which is typically wind power. If you've been following what's been going on in Lincoln County, they've had a lot of contention over the wind towers, and they are in the midst of revising, amending their ordinance. And I called to talk to Toby Brown, the director, planning director, and here is what they are amending. So what they're basically changing 3 things. They're changing the setbacks. Right now, our setback is 3 times the total height of the structure, the wind structure, to any occupied structure. and they are going to be changing theirs to 1/2 mile. So basically, they're going from 900 feet to 1/2 mile. And that's one change. And then they may allow for a waiver system, similar to what we allow for CAFOs or whatever. If you are closer and you don't have a problem with your neighbor putting on, you could sign a waiver. So that's one change they're making. The next one is noise. And currently, our zoning ordinance requires the noise level not exceed 65 decibels measured from any property line. Lincoln County is changing that to 45 decibels measured to any property line, and not greater than 5 decibels over the ambient noise at any habitable structure. So that is an addition to what we don't have that right now. And then the third thing that they're talking about is requiring a flicker analysis on basically each tower. And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically a study of the impact that the light has as it passes through the turbines, and you know, it sort of makes like a circle or a half circle around the wind towers as the sun comes up and sets. And there's a school of thought that says that that has an effect on animals and people if you are in this flicker pattern. And let's say that is by your house or on your barn, and there's a constant flickering, that it potentially impacts living organisms. So they are requiring a flicker study to be done. So what I'm asking you tonight is you can read this, and Jeff can jump in, because he was one of the commissioners that brought this to my attention. And if you are so inclined, you can think about it for a month. If you're so inclined, you can direct me to start amending the ordinance. It's just that, you know, we've had this discussion in our office that if we reduce the setback or increase the setback to 1/2 mile, there is going to be very, very few places that you're going to be able to put up a wind tower in the county, that there isn't a 1/2 mile of a residence away in this county, because we're pretty densely populated. It could be different if you were in Hutchinson County or Charles Mix or someplace, but here, I mean, if you drive around and you think about, where houses are located, there's very few places where there isn't a house within 1/2 mile.
Well, basically, in talking to other commissioners from other counties, especially Lincoln County, they're telling us about the issues they have trying to figure this out. And so, and I think Commissioner Heiberger has also gotten an earful about it from the Lincoln County people. So just seems prudent for us to consider changes that might make things smoother should these projects come to us.
Well, and I think it's also beneficial for you to know what Lincoln County's doing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the same energy producers that are eventually going to land here, and they're going to say, well, in Lincoln County it was this way or that way, and now it's not that way. But that's not to say that we have to mimic everything Lincoln County does.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, that are noisy. There are a lot of things that cause flicker. I mean, I've visited family in the big cities, and you have flashing police lights and ambulance going by about 6 times a night, and trains rolling through, and it's at the same time, we don't normally think of a windmill as being a noisy deal. I think they're harsh on mosquitoes, but
So,
Is that height, is that to the top of the base, or does that include the propeller?
top of the
Propeller?
the propeller.
Okay, okay. And then, I'm just a person up here. Is there an example of a 65 decibels versus a 45? I mean, do we, just to kind of put it in our mind what the sound difference is?
I can research that. It's I'm trying to
That's
think.
my only thing, is just how loud is a 65 versus a 45?
Quite a bit of difference.
Yeah.
I think 65 would be like a normal person's voice, speaking at a, in this kind of a function that's close to 65, and 45 would be considerably less. I mean, maybe you can quick Google it or something, but, there's a big difference. And I know that 65 is an interesting number when it comes to the impact that noise has on people, because in Pennington County, they had a noise attenuation zoning district that surrounded Ellsworth Air Force Base, and 65 was the decibel level where restrictions started of living in that, where you couldn't, they restricted decibel of noise at a higher rate than that. They wanted to keep people out of living in that.
I'm trying to make a noise here. Let's see. Signal generator outer test. It looks like I have to install an app.
Your wife calling you, what decibel is that at?
Is she using the phone or just calling me? I think a jackhammer is 90 or 95.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it. I have to pay for it.
Well, I guess I just am making you aware.
Yeah, I think let's do some more research on this, though, and maybe I'll have a 60 decibel tone
I
generator.
can find out, and I'll let you know next month what a 60 decibel, I can find a
60,
chart, I'm
yeah,
sure.
60 decibels, pretty consistent with conversation in a restaurant.
Oh.
So
okay.
conversation at a restaurant a half a mile away? I mean,
And 40 is
oh, at the property line.
library, bird calls, lowest limit of urban ambient sound is 40.
So it's pretty low.
Hit the shotgun, those geese are coming back.
So I figured that the 65 was a relatively low number.
Yeah, it is.
On the other hand, I know that people hate whatever it is and are gonna find something to object to for whatever it is.
Direction of wind.
Yeah,
The other thing that, I'm really hesitant about noise level things, because we don't have any equipment to measure that in the county, and then suddenly, I'm gonna have, if you have someone that is opposed to that, you know how it is, 3 inches of manure and suddenly it's 4, and you're gonna have someone saying, I know that's 67 or 70, and how are you going to, if you wanna be a nuisance complainer, that's what you're gonna complain about, I can hear it, and I know that's way more than 65 at my property line. If it happens, if they start getting built, and you have one around you that you don't want, that's the first thing you're gonna latch onto.
yeah. And personally, if it's blocking my view of the moon, it's tough on my religious practices. Whatever they are.
And there's a lot of discussion about wind turbines.
Let's keep working on this. I think we don't want to be totally dismissive of
Well-
concerns, because they're going to happen, and we need to understand what they are.
And I certainly can move forward if you so wish, and maybe we need to, tonight we only have 4 people here, but if we decide to move forward, it's a relatively easy amendment once we figure out what number you want.
Yeah.
That is fairly easy, because it would just be adding the flicker analysis, which we would stick somewhere in the ordinance if that's what you want, for every wind conversion system, and then it's just the noise and the setbacks.
Well, we've learned from other counties' issues, and even now, and I went to that evening event with you guys that they were talking about. Well, in Cottington County, they're challenging the method that their zoning ordinance was approved, and challenging their ability to place a CAFO in that county based on the fact that their ordinance didn't follow every cross T and dotted I back in, 66 or something. Isn't that roughly it?
Something like that, but it was back in like 2000, so it wasn't that far ago.
So now they have to repass it, though, following the correct rules, so that they're on it now. It's just difficult, you know, and you have to do it correctly. That's why we have you guys. All right, where are we at with the other setback issues?
Okay, full stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't,
We're still working on it, and I think
I have a handout, but I didn't really prepare anything to say about it. This is basically, the additional use, section of the ordinance dealing with CAFOs, and then commentary on the back page. It really, well, it comes down to this, you know, picking numbers and how do we pick them.
Right.
If that's something that we leave kind of as it is, and if there's some public comment that can adjust from there, based on public comment, or what's, you know,
So all the stuff that's highlighted is changes?
Is change it.
all the new stuff.
Okay.
I deleted out everything that was deleted, but so it makes it more clean in reading. So,
Can you see if the other two commissioners get this too? Maybe at least forward it to them, so they can look at it, especially
Bottom
Mike.
line, where are we at with it then?
Well, we are waiting, when you as the commission have signaled that you're comfortable with the proposal that you have in front of you, we will need to advertise for public hearing. And we can do that, that's not, we can advertise now and at the public hearing still,
How far out would the public hearing be if we advertise?
well, we can advertise it for next month. We're at the point we can advertise right now for next month.
And then we would have a big meeting here where everyone came to,
Yep, we'd have a meeting at the planning commission, and that would be in April.
would we do a special meeting anywhere?
That would be up to you as the planning commission. If you wanna have a special meeting, that would be more, typically you're gonna have one public hearing, and that, under state law, you have one public hearing. If you wanna have open houses or, forums where you, present the information to the public, you can do like a public information forum, or several of them if that's what you like.
Jeff, are you thinking that's necessary?
No,
Okay.
I just
Just
know
asking.
that as long as
I
we
don't either.
do it without a gun to our head,
Not long.
we're better off. You know, if there's no applicant out there putting the push on us, that makes it look like we're jumping just on their,
To change stuff, yeah.
I reached out to Pete Sonzegard
yeah.
and had him review it, because he had some major concerns about the chicken numbers in our current ordinance. And he was appreciative, and we provided the information. I haven't heard back from him.
I actually got an email back from him.
Okay.
He expressed concerns with, the number of residences that are allowed to set back from. Right now, our ordinance has that, vague thing where it says, you can reduce the setback if you have new technology, or if you have management practices that allow you to do that. And this would clarify, or what's proposed here would clarify what's needed, and then also, it's state that only, say, one or a couple houses can be within that setback without a waiver. He had some concerns about that.
Where is that on, in
So
here?
that would be page 3,
Okay,
land use setbacks.
no more than one residence without a signed waiver may be located. So that would even be if there was a new technology applied?
Yeah, so, this way, what I'm looking at is, whether it's put together here, is that the smells is primarily the concern of neighbors. And maybe we wanna look at, but
Yeah.
by looking at that, no CAFO can use the same odor reducing properties, or uses, because some are ventilated by the wind, some are ventilated by fans, and some are just open. So say this way is trees, and the reason why trees is picked because it's more or less a universal blocker. It blocks the smell, and a tree between you and the neighboring house, that's one way to block the smells and block the views and everything. Whereas in the old plan, you had to have an odor plan, which then becomes a problem for us because we're not odor experts. But from research, you can see that, well, if you have this type of setup, you do this type of odor reducer, or you can do this type. And all of them have, say, you can feed differently, but how are we gonna tell them to feed in a certain way? Or that gets to be difficult. So trees, I feel, is kind of a universal calmer. And there's lots of research about it with odor reducing effects.
Plans for pest control were removed. That's because you weren't sure if cats were good enough to keep the rats down, is that it, or?
Well, and it's self-correcting, and, farmers don't wanna have rats in their feed either. I guess they feed. And again, when is it something that's enforced, are they putting the chemical in or not?
No nutrient management plan is required anymore?
Now it's changed to manure management plan.
Oh,
which
not
is a
nutrient.
way that, once
We're
you
calling
get
it-
about 1,000 animal units, the state takes care of nutrients. And beyond that, for zoning wise, we care about how it's managed, not if there's too much nutrients on the ground.
So we go from nutrient to manure, what's next, crap? I mean, crap management plan? Just asking, we're changing our lingo.
Well, the reason why, like I said, in our zoning ordinance, I'm saying that for zoning, we no longer worry about the farmer's ability to put nitrogen on the ground, because the state does that very well.
Well, I think,
And that's the nutrients inside the manure.
I think I like this stuff, I'm just not sure that I understand it all. I think we probably need to have the full planning commission see it.
Why don't we just put it as an agenda item at the next meeting, and we have another presentation on where we are?
And maybe we start early or something, or maybe we have a school meeting. What do you think, Doug?
A good idea, right now I'd say starting early would be, I don't know what the
Well, then we'd
day
have,
will be, but
then we'd have people coming in early for
Right.
their stuff and getting excited.
we could do that. It makes no difference.
Bonnie, what do you think?
I think we should hold off too until you guys
Yeah,
put it all
Let's make
together.
sure
So I mean,
everybody gets it.
all of us together, if we have some questions, we can.
and then maybe
Discuss that.
sometime we meet on a Wednesday evening or something, and
We s-
hit on
fine.
it. And we could make it an open meeting anyway, but we could just study it without making any motions to approve it or whatever, and then at the meeting after that, we approve it. I don't feel like I necessarily understand it well enough, but it's because there's some brain damage that's catching up with me.
We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and then
Okay.
we do have a lot of items that are coming up for the next meeting, so,
Let's make sure all of our members are fully informed, and,
Yeah, that way, if we put it on the agenda, you'll get it out in the packets before the
yeah.
meeting.
Tonight, in a way, is pretty nice, because we're actually done relatively early. 3 meetings and we're done by this.
So I don't have anything else.
Since there's no other items on the regular agenda,
Move we
Motion.
adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
Okay, what do you think about the buildings?
Size of the building?
2,000 feet would be a 50 by 40.